It's going to be a good topic. So, it's the podcast. Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of the Hideaways Show Behind the Curtain. Mike and I just kicking off a nice Tuesday here in October. Weather is temps are coming down and rentals and bookings are going up. So things are good.
That's a perfect inverse graph that I want to see.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been sweating my my biscuits off over here in Iowa. I've been dreaming of cooler temps, so I'm glad to see things are going down, and it's nice to see that notification popping up every day. New reservation.
Wow, right now it's kind of nuts.
It's
every October I'm like, oh, I'm used to it. I saw it last year. I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
It's such a rush wherever your peak season is when those reservations start coming in, and ours is October. Man, it's just like that sensation of the new reservation notification popping up, man, until the day I stop doing this, that's always going to be one of my favorite things. Just the bink, bink, bink. So, but with that being said, I have a fun topic I want to talk about today. And it comes from an article that AirDNA actually wrote back in, I think it was, February of 2025. Yeah, 2010. No, or 2010. Goodness gracious. Words are hard. February 9th, 2025. They had an article, and the article was 12 short-term rental trends to watch in 2025. I actually came across it earlier today, and I'm like, I'm curious to know what the trends were. And I pulled 7 things from that list that I want to dive into today. Some came true, and I think some are, may come true, but maybe didn't, especially for the market that we're in. So if you're ready, I want to dive in.
Dude, I don't know if I could be more ready at all. Maybe I could have a quieter room, better lighting, other setup, but other than that, no, I could not be more ready than this moment right here.
Oh, well, then let's dive in, Mike, because you're so excited and you're so ready for this. So the first one was for luxury. This is what I thought was interesting. For luxury rentals, the experience is everything. I think I think is accurate for luxury rentals, but I think across the board with short-term rentals, experience is now becoming everything.
Dude, are you just trying to trigger me off the bat? Is that what it is? Second word, Jordan.
That second word is your favorite word, luxury. Dude, so I had to throw it out there.
I think that there are luxury rentals out there, and I don't ever want to own one. And even if I do, I'm going to downgrade it as not being a luxury rental. And I'm just going to say it's a really cool, fun, adventurous, high quality, excellent place to stay.
Why don't you like luxury, Mike?
Dude, it just sets there's the best short-term rental in terms of quality, and then there's luxury rentals. Where nothing is wrong and everything is perfect, and you just wake up in a good mood that day for no reason, and if I don't, 0 stars.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it just sets the expectation so high, whereas if you set it a little bit lower and then you deliver a luxury experience, bam, you just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, so you're under promising, over delivering with that to where, but I still think high quality is what most hosts should strive for.
100%.
Is a high quality experiential property, having some sort of experience.
To me, luxury is perfect. If I put in the listing a perfect experience during your stay, it's there's no way that I can control that. Right. What if you get chicken pox? That's not my fault, but at the same time, it's not a perfect stay.
I thought this was a luxurious stay. I shouldn't be getting sick while I'm staying.
Nope. So that being said, that is not even what we're going at. I obviously got triggered. My apologies. But we've got here for luxury rentals, experiences, everything. I agree. I think experience is everything for all rentals.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you're luxury or not. Yeah.
Yep. I think it's obviously very important for luxury or high quality properties, but you're starting to see hosts across the country and across different markets that don't have experiences that are, even talking to us and saying hey, how do I improve my property? And what are the things that we talk about? It's we don't just want to add a hot tub, right? Let's add the hot tub in a way that it's an experience for them. Maybe it's an elevated hot tub. Maybe it's on a platform. Maybe it's in the side of a cliff. Don't just check the box. Checking the amenity box is relatively important in this industry, but can you do it in a way that provides an experience for a guest? That's going to get someone to book a place that has, if they both have hot tubs, but one has a hot tub that's elevated with a view and the other is just a hot tub slapped on the back, they're going to go with the one more than likely that has the hot tub that's more of an experience. So I
Yep.
couldn't agree more that experience is everything. I think that's going to continue to ramp up into 2026,
100%.
2027.
I was actually talking to someone the other day that said that the experiences in the development, like in Pigeon Forge, like a very established market, what they're moving into now is like putt-putt areas are actually slowing down. Pickleball areas are actually slowing down because they're moving into developments, right? So you might have a neighborhood where they build the neighborhood around this amenity stack, like you and I have been talking about putting in these houses, right?
Yep.
Where they've got this amenity stack in the neighborhood. So people can go use the pickleball courts that they have, or the horseshoes next door, or they've got the big kitchen and that kind of stuff all put in there. But it's actually shifting some of the biggest markets in the short-term rental game right now because of those changes to experience it at your house or neighborhood, or as close as you can get it.
Yep. Yeah. What's your take? And we've talked about this in past episodes. Some people love it. Some people hate it. What's your opinion on properties that just take a backyard and they jam as many amenities in as possible, right? Not just saying a lot of amenities. What I mean is like, here's putt-putt, and then right next to it is bowling, and then right next to it is horseshoes, and then right next to it is, I don't know, a giant chess, and then right next to it is a sauna, and then right next to it is a hot tub. Like they just jam pack the amenities, right? There's no intentionality with it.
So I was going to ask, like, as I say, the intentionality. So I was going to say, what do you think my answer is going to be to that?
I think you're going to say you're not a fan of the jamming it in. I think if you have a lot of amenities done in the right way, I think
It depends
you
on
like
what
that.
this podcast is rated, I guess. The the answer is it depends. the answer the answer is it depends, right? Both answers for whatever you're thinking is it depends. And the reason is if you put them all in and you do it strategically and it's laid out in a good way and it's hard lines and paths and everything's laid out so that when you fly that drone up and you shoot a picture down, it looks perfect. Like, that's good. I don't mind having a ton of amenities in the backyard as long as there's places to walk and places to sit and places to swing. And like, it's not just, you go from horseshoes to pickleball to cornhole to, this other thing and there's nothing in between. Like that would be annoying. But I think having a bunch is okay. It can be done strategically. So it very much depends on the execution.
Well, the reason I asked that is I've heard some people that like they love it, some people hate it. I think at the end of the day, whether you like or hate some of these things, I think at the end of the day, if you're looking at it from a revenue and a return perspective, I think there's some markets that maybe if you jam pack the amenities, it works, right? And other markets, you don't, you can get away with one cool, unique amenity and it carries you for, the foreseeable future, right? I think it's very market dependent, but I think you try to put your emotions aside on that. And at the end of the day, if it's a return ROI perspective,
Yeah.
put your ego on the shelf, put your emotions on the shelf, and whatever at the end of the day is bringing in that money, I think is what you want to focus on. So
I agree with that. I agree as long as you're like able to keep up with it too. The only time I
that's
push
true.
back on people with that is if your cleaning team isn't going to clean it and you're, like if you've got a hot tub and you've got a pickleball court and you've got this bowling area, but it's always dirty, it's always broken, there's never pieces there, things like that. It might long-term bite you in the butt, but
That's true.
to me, those are things you can fix while you're building it, right? If you see the ROI there, it's like, go ahead and put the investment into the person to go out there and do it. Even if it's break even, but it's going to get you more occupancy and whatnot and more notoriety, I would still do it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's keep ripping through this list so we don't get hung up on luxury rentals and experience. But experience is a big thing. So I'm going to skip the second one in this article, and that was climate change is a growing risk to hosts. I think, honestly, you know what? Maybe I don't want to skip this one. I'm going to add this one in real quick. I think it is definitely applicable. I think you should consider it regardless of the market you're in. It should be something that you plan for, and that's why we set aside money within CapEx and even cash reserves, more so specifically cash reserves, for when these things do come up. Because if you remember, we had a fun little hurricane roll through Kentucky last year, and I don't know about you, but that was one of the main reasons why I left the Texas beach market.
Was to
I
get
didn't
more
wanna have-
hurricanes in Kentucky?
Right, exactly. Like I had no hurricanes in the beach market, and then I go up to the mountains of Kentucky and the cliffs of Kentucky, maybe, and hurricane rolls through. So I think regardless, I think it's not so much the climate piece to focus on. I think it's important, but it's more so the having cash reserves on the side. for when the unexpected does happen, or the things you don't think will happen, you're prepared, right?
Yep.
But anyways, I wanted to touch on that one because I just read it. I'm like, hey, you know what? We'll talk about climate.
There's a little there.
Well, a little bit. But the third one, this one we might spend a little bit of time on this one, but unique rentals will continue to outperform in 2025. The first line of this paragraph says, standard vacation homes aren't cutting it for today's travelers. Say it one more time for the people in the back. Come on, let's go. Unique rentals are outperforming in 2025.
I might agree with that. I think I might have a little bias in that conversation, but at the same time, might agree to it. I think just listening to Airbnb, how they're leading into like social media and bringing awareness to your property, I think unique is like becoming less a desired feature and more a required feature, right? Like you have to stand out. You know, there are definitely, there's probably going to be like the lower 25% of listings across the board that are just standard, and they're always going to do well because they're just a place to stay, like a hotel room. Right. But the unique ones, man, especially with like the Gen Z wanting to be seen, or Gen Alpha, whatever it is now, like wanting to be seen, growing up on tech, having such easy access to some of these things, it really, I think it's just really going to be a matter of like who can draw their attention for one, but then also that desire. And then it's going to be a lot less about the finance, the travel implications, anything like that, like it used to be. And it's going to be more like, I want to be seen there. I'm going to book it. Let me find a date.
Yep. And I think unique means different things across different markets and different properties. Unique doesn't always mean a hot tub in the side of the cliff, right? Unique could be the design. Unique could be the finishes. Unique could be how you set up the bedroom or even the outdoor space, right? I think there's different levels of uniqueness, but it's something that's unique and that's different than the rest that will allow you to stand out.
Well,
and
one of the things, go ahead.
You got it. Roll with it.
I said one of the things that you always say is like there's a way to take a really standard thing and make it implemented in a really unique way, right? And I think the Cliff House that we're about to launch here, they did a really good job. They brought one of the easiest, lightest, cheapest hot tubs. Good hot tub, nice, decent sized hot tub, but it's the easiest, cheapest, lightest. And I asked them, I was like, do you have any ideas for the outside? And they're like, well, no, we're just going to put it here. And I was like, what if you just wrap it in wood? Well, they actually built the entire deck around it. Right. So you just step right off into the hot tub. It looks really, really, really good. And that's a unique way to implement it. Now, it's the least unique thing about their property, but at the same time, like it's a standard amenity that somebody put a little thought into and said, we're going to do this in a better way.
Right. Yeah. That's actually, again, I think that's a great point though, is it doesn't have to be a grand slam. What it can be is a few, base hits here and there stacked on top of each other. We always say that it's like you do this, but then also do this, and then do this, and then do this. And it just continues to go up and up and up. But what's crazy to me is there's still a lot of investors out there that are worried to pull the trigger on being unique, having bold design, having unique amenities. They're hesitant, right? They're gun shy. And
but Jordan, what if it doesn't work?
Continue sitting on the sidelines and watch me make it work.
Yep.
But I think that gives me a lot of confidence in what we're doing. Is like there's still a lot of fear with investors out there around this, which to me, I don't know if it's because maybe it's they're newer investors, but like I think the proof is in the data itself that those things work. It's gonna take an initial capital investment up front, but you see these well-designed properties, you see these properties with amenities, and they're like, how people and these investors will still ask, how are they, generating $150,000 to $200,000 revenue per year? Well, I can tell you right now, it's the design that they spent, $30,000, $20,000 on. It's the amenities that they spent $30,000 on, whatever it may be.
Dude, I
right?
don't even know. Like, yes, it is. But like, it's like the conversation we were having earlier, right? Where it's like, why do you guys front load all this stuff? And there's a way to put together performance where it's really affordable and it's attractive and you get high returns, right? But the reality is you're going to have to do a lot of stuff later. It's going to eat into your cash flow, right? So then what we've started doing is just front loading everything. We're going to do landscaping up front. We're going to do lights up front. We're going to do cash reserves and CapEx and savings accounts up front. We're going to do all that here because I want the worst part of this deal to be prior to launch. And then once we launch, I want it to just feel good. Right. And this used to happen in the ad space too, where it's like people are like, oh, we'll do it later. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. Well, what happens is it's a constant, like, we didn't get it done. We're not quite there. It's not the best results we could have. Well, then it's 4 years down the road and they're like, I don't know if I want to work with this guy anymore. Right. Which is
Mhm.
super defeating because you told them all along to do it. Whereas if you do it up front, it's there. And what you're saying, I think we've had this conversation 25 times in the past week where you get into the project, everybody's gung ho, it's all awesome. And then you're like, hey, we need to do this, and this. Well, by the time you get to the third this, they're like, I don't know if I want to spend that, or I don't know if I want any more like investment or to buy anything else or whatever. And what they've done is they've taken this great idea and they've shrunk it down to this like mediocre stairway,
Yep.
and it's like, that's not there. Like all you have to do is the last 10%, the last 20% and like really get it over the hump. But if you plan for that, man, like someone was asking me earlier why one of our places is doing so well. And I gave all of the credit to, what were they, $15 for those Amazon lights?
Yeah,
That you put
they
in?
were expensive for the
Yeah,
stair tread
it was a
lights.
little bit of wire, a ton of stair tread lights, and then the assembly. Right, someone had to lay down on the steps and take off every single board and install those lights. It was a lot of work for the assembly. Other than that, there was nothing there. Could you imagine? Just envision today the attention that we get on the Instagram posts that you put up, right? Which are just it's just phenomenal, or TikTok posts, or wherever you want, whatever platform of your choice, right? And you look at that post and there's no lights on it. No.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Firstly, no night shots. Boom, out. Secondly, the daytime shots, they're good, but like no way is it going to do it. Now, was it just the lights? No. If you buy a set of lights, you lay them on the ground, are you going to get $1,200 a night? No, you're not going to. But
Right.
it's the attention to detail with emphasis on the last 10%.
Right. Yep.
So
Yeah. And it's interesting where you get a lot of people that I'll say they work down the deal where it's like it costs this much to invest in this deal. And they're like, well, let's maybe not do that. Let's cut a little bit off here. Let's shave a little bit here.
Yep.
But the part that just, I don't think people understand is, but they still, don't touch that revenue number though. Right. I want that revenue number to stay at 200,000, but I want the investment to just be down a little bit. Right. And not that it's this way across the board. The stair tread lights is a perfect example of it. It doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars, but it's a pay to play game, right? You're gonna have to make the investment to get the return, that higher return that you're expecting. I can't rip out $1,200 a night without that hot tub and that deck that we built, right? It's just if someone's like, Jordan, I need to get $1,200 a night on this cabin, it's like, I can't do it, right? Like I'm trying to convince something that no one in their right mind would pay $1,200 for a 420 square foot cabin with nothing else, right? Just
I don't even know how we got that the first time.
Right. Well, I and to this day, I still think $1,200 a night is crazy for that cabin. But again, how do you price an experience, right? I can't price an experience because it's what the person, like, what does it mean to that person? To them, maybe it was worth $2,400. Maybe $1,200 a night was a steal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe they would have been willing to pay $2,400. I think that's where you start to get into uncharted territory with the unique rentals and doing things unique, where AirDNA, unfortunately, is probably not going to help you with your unique rentals. And I think maybe that's what scares people, is because they don't have someone telling them, like, hey, it's going to do this, right? We even project on the low end what we think it'll do, but we have a project coming up here, hopefully by the end of the year, early into 2026, that are pro forma. We put the numbers together. We're confident in those numbers, but they could do 10x. They could do,
I was going to say they're
10x.
They're high for a normal rental, but they're conservative for us because we've studied these.
Yeah, and if that place does what some of these other unique places doing at 99% occupancy, that's a different game. But I won't put I guess maybe quote this, and we'll come back in 2 years maybe when we do it. I don't know if I'll ever put 99% occupancy into a pro forma. I think I think it's just too challenging. But the fact of the matter is there are places out there, Hocking Hills and across the country, that are unique and experiential, well designed. They invested the money. They're getting 99% occupancy. While you have these other people in other markets that weren't willing to spend the money, they're getting 50% occupancy. Be like, how do I become the Hocking Hills, right? It's like, it's right in front of you. It just takes work, effort, and the investment, right? And if you don't have the money, that's fine. Go find someone that has money. It's crazy how many conversations we've had with people where, I think the investment almost just comes out of left field, because we just had a conversation with someone. It's like, ooh, I know someone who has money. Go talk to them. Then we come through with that passion and what we're doing, and show them what we've done to date. And it just, you get people that are like, how do I get involved? Now it's not so much of can you do it?
Yeah. I love when it starts there because then what happens is they're like, well, have you done it before? It's like, oh, let me show you a couple things. And it's like, well, what else do you have? And it's like, well, let me show you. Then you pull up your camera roll, and then you pull up your Instagram, and then you pull up your TikTok, and you pull up your email, and they start asking you validating questions. Well, like, how many of your reservations are direct? And it's like, well, at this cabin, they're like 89%. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, oh, here's our dashboard, right? And then all of a sudden it's like all the credibility of what you've done just starts compounding. And they're like,
Right.
I want to be a part of this. And it's like, well,
Yep.
if you're bought into the vision, I want you to be a part of this. Right. But
Exactly.
if you're bought into the, hey, it's going to cost 100 grand, but you want to make it 20, right? I don't even want to continue the conversation. It's like,
Right.
you don't understand what we're going for.
Exactly. So with that being said, unique rentals outperforming other rentals in 2025. I think it's so true, and I think it's going to continue to be true 2026 and into future years for sure. I don't think that's slowing down anytime soon. The next one I wanted to hit on is, I think it's number 5 in their list of 12, is supply growth in the US is slowing. And I wasn't going to include this one, but then I did because I think that's dependent on the market you're in. I think the market that we are in, there's a lot of people coming into that market from an investment standpoint. There's a lot of people building, there's a lot of people buying new properties. Now, even though that supply is growing in the market that we're in, what I love about it is 85 to 90% of those places are doing exactly what we were just talking about that you should not be doing, is buying a standard place. And then they have this level of bias. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to make 80,000 on this. The problem that they're not considering is that we're just building an empire over here, but over here on the right, we got all these properties that unfortunately they're going to book with us because we've taken the time and invested the capital into things that are unique, into things that matter for a guest that wants to come and stay in the gorge. They're still going to get bookings, don't get me wrong, and they're going to still get decent revenue numbers, but it's not going to be to the level that they're wanting. So,
Well, especially if they're self-managing, like that's my thing. Do you want to manage like 4 properties that are doing okay, or do you want to manage one that's doing the same as all those 4? Because the management part of it is almost the same. Like
yep,
it's a pain in the neck to manage property. I don't care who you are,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I agree. Like the uniqueness and whatnot. But I think the slowing, I agree. Like our market is going nuts. It is really fun to talk to investors, and there are some that are like, I don't believe you. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
perfectly fine with me. Like
But
you'll hear about it in a few years.
yeah, and that's why I think it's very market dependent. I'm sure there are some markets where prices have skyrocketed, interest rates were higher. Those combination of things, like it was just it didn't make sense. I understand that those factors play into that, but when you find a market like the Red River Gorge, and I think people are now starting to catch on to it. I think people started catching on to it last year, and the people are going to continue catching on to it. It's just going to continue to go up and up and up. But um, I'm not too awfully worried right now with the gorge and the supply that's coming in there because of what we're doing from a uniqueness perspective. And I think
Dude.
that's where you can safeguard you as an investor with your property. Is like a lot of people are always worried about like saturation. It's like, yeah, but if you're the top 1% property in that market, you don't have to necessarily worry about that, right? Because if there's a lot of people coming there, they're going to want to come stay with you because you're the best property in the area.
Yep. And you've got so much warning. That's kind of what I've started looking at it now is if you're at the bottom 25%, you're the first to go, right? When everybody else discounts their rates, boom, you're out of the market. If you're at the top, say you're in the top 10%, right? And your market starts to fill up, it starts to do them. You can, I really do truly believe that you can like muscle your way into more revenue in order to get to an exit, right? Because my biggest fear is that we hit the peak and then realize that it's slowing down and try and sell. And people are like, oh, I'm going to like cut my valuation in half because you're actually on the downward slope instead of the upward. But if you're at the top 10% and you see a bunch of other guys coming out, you've got to lower your rates a little bit, whatever. It's like, cool, really good indicator to like market the heck out of your place. Like make sure that you're pushing, upgrading, getting new photos, whatever.
Yep.
Give that up and then exit, right before you've got enough of a warning to actually exit at a good valuation there.
Right. Yep. No, absolutely. So I wanted to touch on the supply thing. I don't think it's anything crazy, but thought it was interesting that was in there. The next one, it was number 6 on the list. Investing potential is high in small city and rural markets. This one, 1000% agree with. The Gorge, I would consider a more rural market per se, and I think it's continuing to grow. I think the Nashvilles and the
Gatlinburg and Joshua Trees.
Gatlinburg and Scott, yeah, exactly, right. Like those markets, I think there's still some opportunity, but it's very it's way less, and to be able to build something in those places, like I couldn't imagine like doing a 1.2 million or $2 million build out there and then trying to be confidently say like, hey, we can cover
Yep.
the mortgage on this thing. Like
Yep.
and I haven't done enough research in those markets to know, but to me it's just I feel like you're behind the eight ball right out of the gates. Like
Yep.
it just doesn't make sense.
I
So
was talking to someone the other day, and I just showed my ignorance. They were talking about Pigeon Forge, and they were like, "Yeah, to get into the Pigeon Forge market," I was like, "I know it's like $600 or $700 now, or $600,000 or $700,000 now."
mhm.
And they laughed. They literally stopped what they were about to say. I interrupted their sentence. They stopped what they were about to say and laughed a little bit at $700,000. And they're like, "It's like 1.6 to get a new house in Pigeon Forge is like 1.6 for like a basic short-term rental." I
Yeah.
was like,
But
"No thanks."
the people that bought when that market was starting to grow, right, at like 400, $300,000. You imagine someone be like, I'll buy your
Yep.
place for 1.6 million? Like,
Yep.
sign me up. So, but I think as these rural markets continue to grow, I think there's a benefit and a challenge for some people and a benefit for others. If you know how to market the right way, I think you can take a rural market or a property in a rural market and absolutely crush it. I actually have one. I would consider it rural. It's outside of a city, but it's not a suburb. It's even further out than that. It's just, I'll just leave it at that. And I think they're crushing it because they know how to market the property. It's unique. It's well designed. It's well built. Structurally, it's unique. I think that will continue to do well in rural small markets where people sometimes are a little bit worried because like, well, what are they going to do, right? Well, if you turn the property, we've said this before, if you turn the property into the destination, then the market doesn't carry as much weight. There's still some. Don't get me wrong. I don't just go invest in where there's no STRs. You could probably still pull it off if you crushed it from a design and property perspective. But
I think too though it's like it's the dependence on all the variables, right? And I think
right,
that's a common theme that we've had, right? Like it's not just the lights, it's not just the hot tub, but it's like how you put all this stuff together. Same thing for that. For
hmm
like there's certain places that are not anywhere near any other big town, but they're unique enough, they're dedicated enough to how they put it together, and they're close to the airports, close to driving towns, like those kind of
close
things.
enough. Yep.
Yeah, all play in where it's like the location by itself, not the place, but at the same time, it is easy to get to,
Right.
and it
Yep.
serves the purpose, the remote getaway, the experience, all that.
Yes.
Back
Well,
to the experience.
yeah, exactly. But that's where you wouldn't be able to do a lackluster STR in the middle of nowhere. If you think you're going to be able to save a quick buck and build something, half-assed out in the middle of nowhere, unfortunately, you're going to be, wildly disappointed. And that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it matters more than ever in a rural market or a place that's a little bit more secluded. You got to crush it from a structural perspective, a design, amenities, all of that has to come together. So, three more that I want to hit on from this list of 12. And the next one, and this one I find interesting. I'm curious to know your take on it.
okay.
Number 8 on the list of 12, larger listings will come out on top.
See
How's
how
how's
we
how's that make you feel inside, Mike?
it depends. We have this conversation a lot with people getting into this market because people come in from the commercial background and like, I got into a house and then a duplex and then a fourplex and then an apartment complex. I'm like, I want to come out here and I want to buy a resort. And I was like, yeah, no, you don't. Like, no, you don't. I actually talked to the guy the other day that wanted to buy a 7,000 square foot place, but he was like, balling on a budget. And I was like, that's cool. Don't buy this one because this needs
Yep.
a whole renovation, like moving walls, moving pipes, doing a whole lot of stuff. Then you go to the outside and it's like start from scratch, like do the whole thing up. And if you're not going to do that, it's like double the cost of your house, right? I was like, if you're not going to do that, it's just not worth it. But you need that because in our market, there's not a place for 15 people to go out to eat. There's not a place for
Right.
15 people to like go do entertainment related items. So it's like all you have is the house. So your house
Right.
is the destination at that point. I think that we'll get there over time.
Yep.
I think restaurants will grow, the infrastructure will grow, more people will continue to come. And then if you want to have a big family reunion and a big house, and it'll be neat to watch like that area change as the
Right.
houses get bigger and nicer and whatnot. So
Yeah. Well, I think a perfect market that's a representation of that is Branson, Missouri. I talked to a realtor out there, and she said, if you don't have like a 10-10, a 10-10, Mike, if you don't have a 10-10, you won't compete. A
did
10 bedroom.
we have 10 non-10-10s.
But to me, that's very market specific. Where if I came in with a 2-2 in Branson, we'd probably maybe be extremely disappointed. I don't know, but I think larger listings will eventually will come out on top, but for right now within the gorge and even within the unique and experiential space, I sometimes disagree with that because it's a lot more challenging from a social and marketing perspective to paint an experience that requires you to get a group of 20 people together to come stay at our place, right? Versus if you're a mute. Blah, 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 blah.
Did it look really good?
It did.
Yeah. I would like the assurance of knowing that my reservations are 90 days out, 120 days out, because that's what it takes to get those people together. Right. But that's a big risk, in my opinion, to like build a house in that market for that expensive, if that big.
Well,
So,
I think it's a model that works for some people. You have to be comfortable with getting those bookings far out in advance, and they're going to be big old reservations, right? They're going to be big, but you're not gonna be getting, reservations left and right. Like they're going to come in waves, and then it's going to be like crickets. And as long as you can, stay cool, calm, and collected, and just understand, hey, well, I already have three reservations for this month that were, $30,000 total. Okay, great. Like, does it matter if you didn't get any more reservations? If three reservations, some together was $30,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And it's not as big of a deal. But I mean, that's what we had in Texas. It wasn't a 10-bedroom, but it was was it a 4 or 5? I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5 bedroom, but it slept 12 people, and we would get bigger reservations. But I remember when you had already kind of dove into the Kentucky market, and you were just like, dude, I just get notifications off the hook, like reservation. And I would go 4 weeks without getting a notification for reservation. You have to, if you're not prepared for that, like it is gut wrenching. Now it's an all-time high when that notification comes in, but you're sitting there for 4 weeks and be like, did I just make a catastrophic mistake?
Yeah.
Like, so I'll be interested to see how the larger listings do in the gorge, but I agree. I think it's dependent on the market and what you're trying to go for. But
100%.
You can definitely get bigger. There becomes a ceiling, right? I'm not going to be able to get $5,000 a night for a 420 square foot cabin. Doesn't matter how unique and crazy it is. There becomes a point where people are like, that's a little ridiculous.
Yep.
Right.
I completely agree with that. It's just, I don't have that many friends. Yes. I think that's it for me.
I was going to say, I got you, and that's about it. So here we go.
Yeah. Let's go get our 2-2.
I'm kidding. I got one other friend, but with that being said, let's not touch on how many friends I got, because it's just pitiful. But number 10 on the list, direct bookings are the key to success.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree.
What do you do?
I don't think success is the right word. I think it's control. Right.
Oh.
And so I think by all means, if Airbnb's there, use Airbnb. And if you get 90% Airbnb today, I'd say try and change that. But because of control, not because of success. So you might be successful on an Airbnb here for, I know a lot of people that have never used another platform. And I don't understand it. That just seems like you're leaving money on the table. But I think that for me, direct bookings are the key to control, right? If I can get you on an email list and booked on my platform and comfortable giving your money to me, an individual, and my website instead of this massive corporation Airbnb, right? There's a lot of benefits of using Airbnb, don't get me wrong. But if I can get you to trust enough to come book with me and have a good experience, then I have a customer, and then I have a business, right? Versus Airbnb is doing all the work for me. Right. So they have a business, and I'm just facilitating it by letting them use my house.
Yep.
So,
well, now the big fear happened. And I think everyone for years, 2-3 years at a time, you gotta figure out direct bookings. You gotta figure out direct bookings. And I honestly think majority of hosts are like, yeah, I'll figure that out when it becomes important. I'll figure it out when it becomes important. I'll figure it out when it becomes important. It's important today. It's very important today. And I think with Airbnb now saying, hey, host, I have a present for you. How about 15%? Everyone was talking about that 15% number eventually going over to hosts. And I think a lot of people thought like, Airbnb is never going to do that. They're never going to do that. Well, surprise, surprise. By the end of this year, Airbnb in October, right?
Yes,
Airbnb the Airbnb is doing exactly that. And I think a lot of people, we talked about this the other day. It'll be interesting for the people that don't adjust their prices by that 15% number. I wonder if I think it's a terrible strategy, but a strategy where people don't adjust those numbers, let other people do. And they're like, well, cool. I'm going to get all the reservations now because people are going to go to me because I'm 15% less. But I don't think that's a smart strategy because you're
No.
still going to get beat by the
Well,
people that are
that's just like adding a discount. Like if you're going to do
right.
that, just add a 15% off discount today.
Right.
Right. There's
Right.
no need not to do that.
You're just
It to
giving up
me,
15%
yeah,
right away.
they're going to see a big influx of reservations for sure. I know for a
Yeah.
fact that that's going to happen.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they're going to be like, where's my money?
Yep.
Right. Because your
Yeah.
you're going to get $100 reservation instead of getting your $97 or whatever it is. You're going to
Right.
get, 80 because they took out taxes, including fee and all this other stuff. And you're like, well, wait,
Right.
where's the rest of this? But you still have to pay all that.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting on the backside when hosts start looking and be like, well, hey, where's all the money going? It's like, oh, well, you didn't realize that now you owe 15% on that Airbnb booking. And I think one other point with the direct bookings piece that I love hitting on for people is when you get people to your website, we talk about this all the time, they're in your ecosystem now. You hold the keys to the kingdom, right? Now, if they don't convert, that's on you because you don't have maybe your photos aren't there. Your website's not, set up perfectly. It's confusing when the guest gets there, right? You got to fix those problems. But if you can get them into your ecosystem, you at that point, as you said, you have that control, right? Now they're not going and looking at someone else's property. They're looking at your list of
Yep.
properties, right? I got them in my list and now they can choose from, the high end to the low end of properties that we have and find the property and price point that works for them.
The part that I love the most is like we've done interruption marketing instead of intent-based marketing. They didn't go to Airbnb and search for a place. They were just doom scrolling. They're 90% of our reservations are probably made on the toilet. Like, let's be honest, right? They're just Instagram scrolling, and then all of a sudden they're like, I want this, right? I want to go here. They either save it or they send it to somebody or whatever happens. But we've interrupted their normal pattern. They get to look at something just as beautiful on our site. They go there, they scroll around. Next thing you know, they're booking, right? That's literally a lot of the path that people take for our stuff. So we've actually created something out of nothing by showing it to them and having them book. But then we've also, like you said, if they, in the instances where they can't afford it or the dates don't work out or whatever, they have 20 other listings that they can go look at that are all ours. And the thought to go to Airbnb doesn't really cross their mind at that point.
Right. And then they start reaching out to us and asking questions about our listings. And that to me is like once you start getting those messages and those notifications and contact us forms come in, you got them right where, not right where you want them, right? You have that control, right? So direct bookings, key to success. It's going to continue to be more and more true as the industry shifts. And the last one, number 12? Number 12 on the list. Last one. Interior design makes the best first impression. Grandma's couch instead of interior design? What do you think?
I disagree again. I think they should have been more careful with their words. I think that interior design makes a huge impression, 100%. But if you've set it up in the way that we're talking about, your first impression is not the inside of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Your first impression is the drive up. Your first impression is the messages you get. Is the photos. Your first impression is like, I want them to see like when they get there, the lights are on, the sign is clear, the instructions got them directly there. They know where to park. They know where to walk, right? And all that happens before they see the interior design. So I would almost say like design maybe, or like the intentionality, the strategy, whatever you put together.
Right. And they honestly, they might be talking about it from like a before people are booking perspective, like capturing that attention. I agree.
That makes sense. They went further. I like that.
Yeah. So the interior design piece is definitely important. I think a lot of people understand it, that they need it, but I still think a lot of people, they see it. We've talked about this before. They see it as a expense, not an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you talk to anyone who's taken the leap of faith into, adding design to their property, I think they'll say it's one of the best decisions that they've ever made. Like they're 100%. Like I should have done it way sooner because the ROI on that has increased substantially.
And we're in such an attention-based economy. If you can't get their attention, you've lost.
Yep.
Right. And interior design is specifically for that.
Yep. So they have one bullet point in this list, and then we're going to go to our Would You Book It segment. I'm curious on your take on this. The third bullet in this list on the interior design makes the best first impression. And I'll link this article in the description so you guys listening can take a look. But bathrooms as a selling point. A spa-like bathroom, complete with warm lighting, plush towels, and sleek finishes, can set your listing apart. What are your thoughts on that?
As a selling point? I mean, maybe. For me, no.
Yeah.
right?
Like,
But there's a lot of things in our listings I wouldn't do anyway, like pay for 'em. But I guess I could see it where like someone wants to go like relax on vacation and they want like spotlight thing, but I think it would take like a really strong bathroom to be like, I
like,
want to
like,
go there because of that.
like a spot, like a steam shower, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and we're gonna learn firsthand how that does because we have one for the rock face
Yep.
ribbon.
We'll let
So
you know in a couple weeks here.
we'll let you know. But I thought it was interesting where it says
Yeah.
focus on the bathroom to set yourself apart. I wouldn't say maybe focus on the bathroom to set your listing apart,
Yeah.
but maybe just don't forget about the bathroom
Yeah.
when you're designing and laying out your
I
place.
agree with that. Yeah.
So, hey guys, real quick, just want to jump in here and say if this show has been sparking ideas and helping you level up your short term rental game, we would be so grateful if you drop us a 5-star review. It helps us and this show reach even more people who want to build wealth through unique, unforgettable stays, just like you. So, thanks for being a listener. Now, back to the show. With that being said, are you ready? I know you just a snap of the fingers, you can figure out.
I did something different. I did something local today.
Local. I see.
Yeah.
I was gonna do something similar like that, but I
Yeah.
decided I was like, I found one I'd seen on YouTube actually, and I wanted to run through it. So
I like that.
I'm gonna let you go first though.
Okay. I found I
So
actually
before you share, don't hit the share button. I forgot to explain what Would You Book It is. So for all of our new listeners out there, Would You Book It? Mike and I would bring a topic or we bring a property each week that has to be different, unique. Something about it has to stand out, right? And we approach it from two perspectives. Would you book it as a guest? Would you go and stay there? And then we flip it and say, from a host perspective, would you host this place, and why or why not for each of those?
So I picked dun 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 dun. Let me make sure I don't hit the wrong button here. This one.
There.
The
Cloud
chaser.
Whoa.
So it's our neighbor. It's our neighbor.
Is our neighbor?
Stanton.
Oh, I thought you meant like at like Rockhaven or something. I'm like, how have I never seen these?
City neighbor. I won't say anything. I'm just gonna show you.
Okay.
So bathroom feature. Like you were just talking about.
Interesting. Okay. I like your little your little photo editor there to add the interior lights. Cloud chaser. Interesting.
So I like this map.
Yep.
I do like the map. That's it.
Huh. For me, you know what it reminds me of? It's like they tried to replicate the Bolt Farm Treehouse model.
Poorly.
But
yes.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Where it's exactly what we were talking about before. Like they did it, but they only kind of did it, right? They just like they did what decent, but I feel like they missed the mark.
Yeah.
Me personally, from a guest perspective, I don't have the draw or desire to stay in a dome. For me, that doesn't do it for me. But I think they do look cool. I think they could have been done a little bit differently from a landscaping perspective, maybe amenities, even the design on the inside. But again, I don't know with those domes, like what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So for a guest perspective, if someone was going there and said, "Hey Jordan, you want to come hang out for the night?" I probably would. If I was booking it myself, I would find a actual place.
Yep.
The view is good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good view. It's not $1 million view.
Yeah.
And then from a hosting perspective, I'm kind of torn. I'd probably say no, unless I could be convinced otherwise from a revenue perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If they were doing 75,000 revenue per each of those, all day long, I would host them.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm in the same boat. I wouldn't stay there. I like them. I think they're cute. I look at stuff like this and I think that's very gorge.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is so much opportunity that was missed.
Yep.
And what you decided to do. One, that they look like they're like 6 feet away from each other, and there's no walls. So if I'm in there having a conversation and the person that rented this tent is talking back to me, I'm gonna be like, a little bit upset.
That's a problem.
800 for 3 nights. I was like, that's pretty expensive for a dome that's right
So
next to someone else.
what's their calendar look like from like a is it booked out?
Nope.
Not really. Wow. Oh
This weekend.
boy.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, like they're cool, but I think the design could be a lot better. If I had this lot with that view, I'd have one property like we talked about earlier. Do you want to manage 5 or 6 of these things that are doing the same amount of revenue that one property could do? It's like,
Right.
I would rather just put it all on one property, and you could really maximize that right there.
What
So
I'm also wondering too with these, and we've seen with other properties, I'm not going to name places. They look like this in the photos. Do they still look like that today?
no,
That's what I
I
mean.
guarantee there's, well,
I
especially at the top of the hill with the winds,
yeah.
that's gonna be rough.
And
So
yeah, how clean are they? Yeah,
yeah,
I'd be very curious to know what those
so
actually look like today.
I wouldn't stay because I just don't have the interest in it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think the view's cool. I think that they're probably doing a good thing. That's just not my cup of tea. I would definitely not host them.
yeah,
I just think it'd be so much work trying to keep those things up to a 5-star experience
right.
that it just not for me. So
Yep, I would agree. I'm not into the. I think the domes worked 2 years ago.
yep,
I think they're. I think a thing of the past. I think people still try to do them, and they missed the mark.
yep,
So
yep.
cool. Well, with that being said, let me
Dun,
slide you
dun,
over
dun,
here, Mike.
dun.
I want to show you this place. So I mentioned earlier, this place is rural. It's actually north of Kansas City, in Pleasant. Where did it say it was where it was at? Oh come on, Ple- I can't remember where it's at. It's north of Kansas City.
Okay.
Let me share my screen here.
And if they have good barbecue,
It's podhopping.com.
wow,
So they have these pods, and I came
that's
across
cool.
these because Levi Kelly did a tour of them, and I
Podhopping.com.
and so it's
Dang.
got it's got the lake. It's kind of a tiny home. It's all integrated. It's unique. It's on the water. The structure itself is
Dude, look at that.
isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like it's all very much integrated, but I think this is all one rental. It's just like they're just separated. It's got the nets into the
Yeah.
deck, the heated pool, walkway out but it's like in the middle of nowhere. It's a town of I don't know how big it is. I don't know if it says on here.
But dude, that
But
just proves the point, right?
yeah. So like
These are cool.
there's
Look at the site here.
like that right there. Like
Yeah.
it's
I love the abstract
it's a cool
shapes.
place. Yeah. And when Levi was walking through it, it had some cool like design concepts. See, I knew that was going to happen. I knew I was going to hit an ad. I knew I was going to hit an ad. But I for me, they crushed it, right? In a
Yeah.
place this is what you would need in a place that's kind of in the middle of nowhere,
Yep.
near a bigger city, but this is what you need to stand out. I think
Yep.
there's other rentals probably in the area that are decent, but this place is, takes the cake. They got the design, they got the unique structures, they got the amenities. The property itself is the destination. So,
Yep. Dude,
so that,
yes and yes. I was gonna say at the moment you pulled it up, but like now that I see it even more yes and yes, I would stay there for sure.
yeah,
Like I love what they did there, but I would love to have a place like that.
yeah, and I would agree. I'm yes from a guest perspective, just to be able to come and experience it. From a hosting perspective, this is exactly what I would want.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would say like, well, Jordan, like, did they miss the mark on design? There's a lot of white here. I think you can still have a design like this and it still be bold, right?
Yep.
Like I
Yep.
think a place like this, if you had a mural wall, I don't think it would fit. I think
Yep.
it would look out of place.
It's clean. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
So like everything's very intentional. It looks good. It's modern. It's clean. It's got. I think it's this iPad shows like the battery charge because it's solar powered.
Yep. That's
So
cool.
I think it
Dude, that's even
checks all the
cooler.
boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wood paneling here I think is awesome. It's
I
just
love that.
it's a
As
well
you can
done
tell.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
No, that's good.
the sky nets out here into the deck. I
Yeah.
think those are so cool, and they did such a good job. Like this is to my point of like intentional like integrating everything, right?
Yep.
The elevated deck with steps down. They considered the steps down here, but also steps down to this other platform with the the Skynets here, the
Yep.
privacy wall, like everything's, you could tell they thought through things, right? Versus other hosts that don't, they didn't maybe leave enough room for seating here, or they didn't put a privacy wall on this side. Like you can tell the difference between hosts that actually pay attention to the
Yep.
details
That
and
care.
others that
Yeah.
just are trying to get it listed and get it generating revenue. So,
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
but
That's good. That's a really good find. I gotta watch more
yeah,
of his stuff. I really like how he does that.
yeah, he finds definitely some cool places. So I thought that one was a prime example of a unique outdoor structure, but then thoughtful and intentional design in the interior. So
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that was look at me. I was quick with that one. I didn't have to dig
Did
for
you
hours
finally
and
made
hours.
up for the bus?
Right? Oh my gosh, I finally did after how many episodes?
Yeah, that's good. I'm
Wow.
impressed now, dude. I'm impressed. You know what you're doing.
I'm so proud of myself. So, but,
Goodness.
well, cool. I enjoyed that. Like I said, I'll link that article for the 12 predictions or trends that AirDNA said to watch for 2025. I think it's a good read, and also to reflect on what's happened in 2025 so far and kind of see where the market is heading. I'm curious to see what they come out with in 2026. I'm hoping that like the number one is like, we're serious this time. Unique experiential places are crushing it. Like I think it's just going to continue to get more and more true. So,
Yep.
but well, cool. Well, that does it. Another amazing episode of the Hideaways Show, Behind the Curtain edition. I'm Jordan Holmes. He's Mike Sebastian. Until next time, take care, everyone.